A few months back, I did a little video on this wonderful little Mamod Minor 1, which I managed to find on eBay, and I was really pleased to get it because it was the third version of the Mamod Minor 1 that I was able to obtain. So really pleased about that. And this one, along with these other two, brought my collection up to the grand total of 3. However, a chap called Matthew made a comment on the video to say that he thought there was at least one other version, possibly 2, of the Mamod Minor 1, and I got into a conversation with him, and he was quite correct. I went and checked on the wonderful Toy Steam Engine Museum website run by Mike Stacey, who's got a fantastic collection of Mamod engines, and sure enough, there were 2 more Mamod Minor 1s. They were both made in 1949. Now, 1949 was an interesting year for Mamod. They moved from the St Mary's Row premises to the much larger Camden Street premises. And that happened in November of 1949. Now, they made 2 Mamod Minors that were almost identical. One was made at the St Mary Row installation, and the other one was made at the Camden Street installation. And here is one of them. Now, I've been looking for both of these 2 remaining Mamod Minor 1s ever since I had that conversation in the comments with Matthew. And I've actually managed to find one. It's came up on eBay recently, and I was lucky enough to win the auction. So let's stick it on the turntable and we'll have a closer look at it. Now, as you can see, this one is in a bit of a state. It's going to need a lot of work, full restore. Most of the paint is missing from the firebox. That actually makes the job a little bit easier. The base is rather bent, but I'm sure we can straighten that out. It's missing the burner and the little driving pulley from the crankshaft, but other than that, it's complete. Everything's very stiff. I can't turn the safety valve, but I'm sure that we can free that up with a bit of penetrating oil and possibly some heat. So, what's the difference between this one and the other one that was from 1949? Well, this is the later one. This is the one that came out of the Camden Street factory. And the only real difference is the disc crank flywheel. Let's have a zoom in on that. As you can see, it's got Mamod on the disc crank, and that has been cast into the crank. Okay, so it's like an embossed feature. It is to say it's actually been cast into the crank. Now let's have a look at the really early Mamod Minor 1 from the 1940s. Now again, I don't know how well you can see that. Let me go in a little bit closer. That also has Mamod Minor on the disc crank, but that's been either etched or engraved into the disc crank. It's not been cast in. And as far as I can tell, that's literally the only difference between the 2 models that were made in 1949. Both engines had the same raised base, the same firebox, same boiler. And as you can see, unlike the later Mamod Minor 1s, there is no level plug in the front of the boiler. So yeah, this is going to need a lot of work. I'm going to strip it right down. That's very easy. There's very few parts to it, but we should be able to get it looking a bit better than that in pretty short order. So the little Mamod is all stripped down. I've got the boiler and the engine frame soaking in vinegar. I'll hook those out in a minute. They've been soaking overnight, so they're pretty much ready to come out now. What I'm going to do with the rest of it is I'm going to give it a hand scrub with some wire brushes to get all this crud off. As much of that, a lot of the stuff on here will just flake off with a wire brush over. Then I'll probably use Oven Mate on here to get the paint off, and probably try it on there as well, though I think most of it's going to come off. The paint's going to come off of there anyway. So that's the next stage. Have a look and see how our boiler is doing. That's been in there overnight. Yeah, that's coming along nicely. As you can see, all that horrible green corrosion is gone, and most of that black will wipe off once I give it a rub down. And look, if I can find the engine frame. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Again, yeah, I think once I get a wire brush on there, most of that will come off. So yeah, right, well, let's get on with it. Well, that's the boiler and the engine frame out of the vinegar and washed off. It's done a good job as always. Hasn't quite got all the soot off the bottom, but it's got most of it. But it's removed that horrible corrosion that was on it as well, so that's all gone, which is great. The furring up corrosion, so that needs a good clean up now. And the engine frame's come out quite well. Again, hasn't quite got rid of all the paint, but it's got rid of quite a bit of it. So I've decided to dunk the firebox in the boiler band in the vinegar now, so that's going to go overnight, and then I'm going to set to with the old wire brush and just see what I can get off of this before trying it with the oven mate. So the firebox has been soaking in vinegar overnight. We're going to pull it out now, just have a look at it initially, and then we're going to give it a good old scrub with the brass wire brush. So that's the boiler band. Yeah, not really much you can see on that, but that's looking pretty good. And here's the firebox. There we go. Yeah, it's done a good job. Quite a bit of the rust has come off. I mean, obviously you can still see it on there, but if I give that a gentle brush, that'll all come off. And again, most of the paint has also come off, which is great. So we'll give it a bit of a rub down. You see, it makes quite a lot of difference to it. I mean, a lot of the black paint was flaking off anyway before it even went into the vinegar, so which is good because it makes it a lot easier, and it's not going to require quite so much wire wheel work as they normally do, because most of it's gone. So, yeah, look at that, lovely. Just falling off. Right. Well, there you get the idea. As I said, it's come out. It's a lot better now than it was. Nice and clean. I'll do the inside off camera, because it's not exactly that interesting watching somebody wire brush a vinegar soaked bit of metal. Okay, here we go. The base has had the oven mate treatment, and most of the paint's come off. It turned out okay, actually. You know, it's not going to require too much wire wheel work to clean that up completely. Same with the firebox. The vinegar did its job, as you can see. Most of the paint and the rust is gone now, so it's just a matter of finishing that off. And again, same with the boiler band. I may replace this. These get corroded over time and become weak too. This is very, 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 very weak at the moment. It's ever so easy to bend it, so I may make a new strap for it. But yeah, so the next stage in the cleaning process is the wire wheel work.